My name is John Sager, and we are with Groundworks Fitness, and my special guest today is Angela Harrison, and she came to us extremely overweight, trying to lose some weight, trying to basically better her life, better herself, so she can feel better, look better, and basically all the good that comes with weight loss. So I want to thank you for being on with us today, Angela. And I want to kind of start basically with, before you even came to us, like your beginning, like just your past 5 years before you discovered us. Let's kind of talk about what your lifestyle was like then.
Well, I'm a mom, so I'm busy. So there wasn't a lot of time cooking, and we would run and grab this and run and grab that. And the next thing you knew, it was like, how did I get here?
What happened?
Well, you guys had initially started a group type program here that my mom had joined, and she said, oh, it's really good. Let's, why don't you try it? I'll pay you for a month for you to go. Why don't you try it? And at this point, I'd already started trying to lose weight on my own. So, I started simple with my diet, trying not to drink pop, switched to like black coffee, trying to cut out just sugars,
right.
Not putting butter on a bunch of stuff.
Simple things.
And I was going to the gym sporadically on my own, but it became the same boring workout. You go in, you do 30 minutes on the elliptical, 30 minutes on the treadmill, you go to the weight room, you don't really know what you're doing, but you do a little this
right.
machine, that machine. So, I did lose about 22 pounds, 22 to 25 pounds on my own before I started with you guys. And then I came in and it was a whole nother thing.
Before you go in there, what did you spend time yo-yoing? Was there a time in your life where you were excited to try the next new thing, or what was that like?
Oh, those lovely fad diets. Well, you just can't stick with them. You start out good, but then you feel like you're deprived somewhere.
Okay.
So you cheat a little here, and then the next thing you know, you cheat a little more, or you get off track and then you just get frustrated with it. So you're just like, oh, it's done. It's over with.
How long did you go through that process?
Oh, I probably had went through that process for a good 10 years. And it seemed like every time you started and you lost a little, you gained that back plus some, is what it felt like.
Yeah. What was the emotional toll on that? Because it has to take some kind of, it has to affect you some way emotionally.
Oh, yeah, most certainly, because you start seeing like things that you used to do that you can't do anymore. And then, you go and put on clothes and you're constantly, nothing fits, and you just look at yourself and you feel like you're just, you just get disgusted. And, and you feel like people see you and look at you, and that's all they see in you. And there's other things to you, but our society is what it is. And
that, you bring up a really good point there, and society based you on basically what you look like.
Mm-hmm.
What is that like?
It's terrible. It's a terrible feeling, because sometimes I think people think, oh, well, what are they doing? They just, you might be trying your hardest to lose that. It comes on easy. And it might not come on as fast as what people think it is, because you don't see it. You live with it every day, and the next thing you know, all of a sudden you're like, wait, how did I get here? But you ate all that stuff that got you there, and you just didn't catch it early enough along the way till and you have to want it. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
People tell you, oh, you need to lose weight. Oh, you need it. But until you feel it in here and you want to do it for yourself, you're just going to keep struggling.
I think that's a really big thing. And you mentioned that life kind of got ahead of you, or it kind of got a hold of you. You have a family, you're busy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes it's hard for people to realize that they have to take care of themselves. What happened there for you? Was there a point where you're like, I have to do something for myself?
I was at my biggest weight, that obviously, and I just got to the point where it was like, if I don't do something for myself, how much longer am I going to be around?
Right.
I started, and then I got into needing high blood pressure pills. My blood pressure was up. Well, it was never up before. Well, then it just, that just keeps barreling if you don't correct something. And I need something to hold me accountable. You know, having gone to the gym on my own, and because I could wake up and I'd be like, oh, I just don't want to go, I'm tired.
And I feel like that's typical with a lot of people. Like that just happens. What was that initial thought process when you realized that you were starting to take medicine? Because you had to.
You know, it's where does it go from here?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how much worse does it get? You know, and it's hard to find clothes, and it's hard to find this, and you know, I wanted to be there to. You know, I was always very fit and active when I was younger. And that was probably the big turning point. That all got cut off as I start having kids and getting, you know, married and life. And so for me to not do the things that I used to like to do.
Right.
And my kids are active. And fit.
Yeah.
And, you know, I want to go out and play basketball with them. I want to go run around with them.
That's a huge thing. That's something that you want to be able to do being a parent. I mean, that has to feel good when you can go out there and do those things. Because it's something that you probably enjoy. And you wouldn't have been able to enjoy being overweight.
Right.
So that was a huge thing. So let's kind of fast forward a little bit. You find out about us. I mean, what kind of struck you into coming here or doing this program?
Well, initially, like I said, it was my mom that drew me in on the group session. It was, you know, you did group personal training.
Right.
And, you know, I think ours was like 16 weeks that we initially did.
Yeah.
And, you know, I lost a few more pounds. And I just saw like, oh, wow, like I can lift that weight doing, you know, I wouldn't have pushed myself that way.
Right.
You know, with help with a spotter, help with, you know, you don't push yourself as hard because you get to a point and you're like, oh, that's too hard. So you back up.
Right.
Well, when we're in here and working out with you guys, oh, that's too hard. Well, let's do 3 more. You know,
it pushes you to do
I'll
it,
help
right?
you. Learning how mechanically to do things right, you know.
I think that's a big thing.
Diet.
Yeah.
You guys definitely stress diet.
Diet's huge. You know,
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that. How was that shift in your life? Because it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of work for people, but how is that shift? Because you are a busy mom, you have a lot going on.
You know, I think that's always an ongoing learning process. I
Yes.
mean, I've learned a lot, but I still need a lot more to learn.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I think I'm doing something right, but it might not be exactly right. You
not
know,
the best, yeah.
You know, so I think that's constantly a learning and growing and constantly changing process. And as you lose weight and stuff, you still need to keep adjusting that.
Right.
Because what was working when I was 20 pounds heavier isn't going to work the same when I'm 20 pounds lighter.
Right. It's huge. What do you think is basically the barrier, or what is the big difference between going through a program like this and say a fad diet or something that you've tried in the past? Like what's the biggest thing that you see that's been different?
People care, for one,
Yeah.
and you have a support group. You know, you have a cheering section. If you get off track, it's, hey, let's get back on track. What can we do? How can we help you to do better? You know, the fad diet, it's just you. You know,
Yeah.
you're reading a book, you're looking at a thing.
Right.
Who's your support system?
Yeah.
And you know, you guys are a big support system, and you know, and you get to know everybody that's coming in and working out and doing, you know, the sessions, and everybody cheers on everybody.
It's like a big family.
Yeah, it is. It is like a big family,
Yeah.
and you know, it just makes it nice because you have people to turn to. You know,
Yes.
when you're doing a fad diet, what do you have to turn to? A book that you're going to read again?
Right.
You know.
Do you think that's a big thing? Is because you've done the yo-yoing? Is do you think the support group's really what's kind of drawn through? Is like that's what actually makes it work?
Yeah.
Makes
Yeah, and I feel I'm held to a certain accountability here.
Right.
You know, I'm held to accountability with my trainer, you know, to show up.
Right.
I mean,
That's
does
huge.
he want to keep showing up and you're not here?
Yeah.
You know, you're held to accountability by, you know, what you're putting in your mouth and stuff. And diet's probably the hardest part of the whole entire thing. And that's always going to be the hardest part, I feel. You know, I can come in here and I can work till I'm blue in the face, but if I don't change my diet and if I'm not eating the right things, you're still not going to get
You're not
anywhere.
gonna get the results that you want. Have you noticed going through this process points where you have plateaued, and have you realized why?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm at a plateau now, and I got to figure out in my head how I need to get past that. And it's one of those, I have accomplished a lot. I've lost 100 pounds.
Yeah, you've done extremely well.
That's a great accomplishment. Now I need to figure out how to get past the next plateau. And of course, the more weight you lose, the harder it gets.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest challenge right now.
Do you think it's when you hit those plateaus, it's something that you got to get in your head where you're like, okay, I got to refocus?
Yeah, and that's what it is. Because I think when you hit it at first, you're kind of like, oh, okay, whatever, and then after you stay in it for so long, you got to retrain your brain to think differently again. Because, you look at yourself and you're like, but I lost that. So, but I'm not gaining and I'm maintaining. But am I really happy with that?
Yeah.
Is that is that ultimately where I want to be? Have I lost enough?
So it's a
I have
big
to
game in
figure.
your head
Yeah.
you really play with.
Yeah.
And that has to be a fighting battle that you probably have came across before.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be something you've done that. I mean, it's probably something it occurs more often than what most people would think it's going to occur,
Mm-hmm.
or probably more often than what you thought in the beginning.
Right.
Because you have to play that game. You got to realize in your head that, you know what, I have to do this. This is what I got to do to get recommitted, refocused, in order to continue to be successful.
Right.
What being the busy mom, being the busy life, and now you're active with your family and you're working out. What have you noticed a difference in almost like your home life, your lifestyle there at home? Have you seen a big change?
Yeah, because I do go out. I go out and play with them. I go out and do. Probably the biggest thing is just trying to make the time for the better eating. Trying to pre-plan. It's not always easy sometimes, but that's the biggest thing, that I try to carve out that time to say,
Right.
okay, let me go to the store. What do I need to set myself up for this week? Trying to have things that are easy to grab on those days,
Yeah.
that are healthy.
Right.
Whether you throw vegetables in a baggie and go, or, grab a protein shake and take it,
So you're thinking about it.
Yeah,
more
you gotta.
so.
Yeah, I definitely am thinking about it more. Before, I wouldn't even have thought about it. Before, I would have just been like,
Whatever.
I'll get whatever I need when I need it.
Right.
And trying to teach my family some of the healthy stuff. I mean, right now, my kids are real thin and healthy and athletic, but that can change.
Do you think them seeing you living the healthier life now has impacted them in their life? I mean, do they see that?
Yeah, because my daughter made a comment one time. She's like, we never go to fast food restaurants anymore, and or if I do eat something that I might not particularly should be eating, sometimes I've heard her say, you shouldn't be eating that,
So it's changed, and it's good to hear that.
Yeah,
So they're picking up on that. They're definitely seeing that. So you somehow have impacted them, and they realize that they have to live that healthy lifestyle, or they're just as accountable for it. And it's good that they're keeping you accountable as well, because it helps you out. Going through this, is there anything in particular where you're like, oh my gosh, I dread doing this, or this is going to be too hard, or is this actually going to be what I got to do?
I mean, I don't think I think you'd lie to yourself if some days you didn't say, oh God, I dread going to the gym today.
Yeah, it's hard.
Or oh man, I dread that workout. Because they're hard.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing easy about them. But you know what? I feel better afterwards. I might die for a minute afterwards, but later in the day you have more renewed energy, and you want to actually be good that day then.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I had a good workout. When you're
You're not
sore
gonna
a couple
screw it up with
days
some
later,
diet.
you're like, wow, that was a good workout.
So that you learn to enjoy the soreness.
Yeah. Sore, not pain.
Not pain, yeah.
You know?
Which is I think a lot of people need to realize there's a big difference.
There is a big
there.
difference, and you guys are real good about, I mean, my knee, I got a bad knee that every once in a while will flare up, and I'll just be like, look, I can't push past this level right now. My knee's killing me. It's not the point to come out and injure yourself. you just got to be safe, and you know, and you guys realize that, and you guys will adjust things and do per what your ability is.
Do you feel like that's been? I mean, you have knee issues, you have other issues. You think it's been helpful having the knowledge that you have now on how to work around it, and you can still do things that you probably didn't think you could do before.
Oh yeah, because I couldn't run on that treadmill.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes it goes away and I don't have any of the pain, you know, and it was a lot different before than it is now. And now I know if I've pushed myself a lot and done a lot of jumping things or a lot of running things, it just puts a little added stress on it. And so I know my limitations now, and I just work around that. And, you know, and knowing the trainers and everybody knows everybody so well that they can look at you and start telling too when something's bothering you. And you know, hey, why don't we back off on this? You know, hey, instead of doing jumping, why don't you, you know,
do some less than pack?
Yes, just a little, because everybody's different. Everybody's body's different. Everybody's health concerns are different. I mean, that puts a big job on you guys to figure out what.
I mean, you bring that up because that's, I think, kind of what makes us somewhat unique is because we can basically work with that, and it's kind of one of the things that we always look back and say that's the reason why a lot of things don't work.
Yeah, cool,
because everyone's different.
Yeah, because people come in here and they're like, oh, I can't do that. Well, just because you watched what that person did, even if if we're doing a boot camp rotation, just because that person lifted that weight, our trainers will pull off weight, put on weight, adjust how to do it. Hey, we're not having you do that. Hey, so any physical limitations you have, disabilities, you know, you guys are pretty good about
making it
working and making it effective for everybody.
And I think I said that's I think a big key, and you bring it up a really good point because everyone is different. Everyone has different limitations. Everyone has different abilities of doing things. And I see it as a point of being. It's really great to see you out there being supportive for those people as well, knowing that hey, I'm not like everyone else. Everyone else is not like me, and we all have to get the exact same workout in, and it's good to see that. Any extremely fun parts in going through this process that you've learned to enjoy?
Oh, I'll tell you what. I really enjoy weightlifting. I despise cardio, but weightlifting I can do. I'm strong.
Yeah.
Cardio, that's harder for me. So, you know, if we have a ton of cardio, I'm going to drag a little bit more. If we have a ton of weight stuff, you know, and I'll tell you, it gets a little addicting with the weightlifting.
Yeah.
The limitation I have with that is obviously for me to do the weight training that I like to do, I need spotters because I can't. Sometimes I can't get that weight where I need to get it to start that out.
Right.
And you know, that's why you grab somebody that's here, or you
would you
ask
ever have
somebody
thought yourself years ago that you would be that's something that you would really enjoy?
No.
And it's just
not at all.
I mean,
no, because when I started going to the gym, it was all cardio.
Yeah.
Obviously, it wasn't intense cardio, but the gym scared me off.
Yeah.
Because the gym we were at, guess what? Most of it was all guys, and they're all in there lifting all these heavy weights, and you know, and you're like, oh God, you know, you look around here, you know, we are dominated by women here.
Yeah.
I mean, we have men that come in,
right?
But you know, all of us women in here, and you just
makes it easier.
Yeah, and to see the difference I mean, we have from old to young, you know.
Yeah.
People with disabilities, people that have nothing.
Insane.
That's what's unique about this gym. Like I said, most of the times the gyms that I went to, you know, you had all the big buff guys in there lifting, and it's kind of intimidating.
Yeah,
and you don't want to go over and try to, oh God, all that weight's on there and they didn't take it off, and now what do I do?
How do you do it? You don't want to feel uncomfortable.
Right.
It's one of those things. And I think that's great that you've found something that you enjoy doing. It's probably almost like a stress relief for you now, where it's like, oh, I feel good after that. I can clear my head. I can do these things. I mean, did you ever think in the past that you could do what you're doing right now?
No.
And it's just been a huge accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking to do further now? I mean, you said you're in this plateau area. I mean, is there things that you know you got to do in order to get in line to take it to the next level?
I definitely need to readjust my diet. That's you know, first and foremost, because I'm not going to get anywhere without readjusting my diet. So that's That's one of the things I need to take a look at and see where I need to change again and
What you need
what
to
I'm
do.
doing wrong with it. Ultimately, would I like to lose 50 more pounds? Yeah, that's my ultimate goal.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think it's important, and I think you've done a very great job at doing this, and setting goals and knowing what you want to achieve. Do you think that's impacted your success, is like knowing, okay, I want to do this now, or setting this goal and making it not just a goal out there, but actually a smart goal to where you know you can achieve it?
Yeah, I mean, I set my goals, and I know that's okay. This is where I want to head, but I try not to be so stringent on myself. Like, oh, great, because here's the other thing. Sometimes when I'm like, oh, okay, let me just set this 10-pound goal or something.
Right.
Well, there's times I haven't met that 10-pound goal.
Yeah.
But guess what? I went down in pant sizes. Or shirt sizes.
And I think that's a huge point
or
you
I've
bring
been
up.
measured and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, all my measurements are lower and my body to fat, you know, my
And I
body
think that's a
fat
big
ratio
thing
is
because
lower.
the scale doesn't really tell you the truth.
Right. And, you know, and I'm one of those people that, you know, for example, one day I did get on the scale and what was it? A 12-pound increase. 2 days later, the 12 pounds were gone. I mean,
Yeah.
so the scale's probably one of my frustrating things sometimes.
But you can see success in other areas,
Right, I
even if
do.
the scale doesn't move.
Right, yeah. If the scale doesn't move, I try not to really put it so much emphasis like, oh, great, like now I'm just screwing up again. Because, you know, when you're wearing I was about a 28, 26, depending on pant sizes. Now I'm, you know, 16, some
That's
14.
huge.
You know, that's a huge success
That's
for
12 inches, right? That's huge. I mean, you had to feel better with that.
me. Oh,
I mean,
yeah. Most
that's just
definitely.
unbelievable.
Now it's great because I go to my closet and put something on. I'm like, oh God, I can't wear this. I look huge, you know? Because you got to retrain your body,
Yeah.
you know, like you want to put something on to hide yourself again.
Yeah.
And then when you do, you're like, well, crap, that picture made me look huge. Why did I do that? You know, and you look at another picture of something that fits your body better and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, now
I
that
feel
looks
better,
better.
yeah. Do you see that there was a huge emotional toll that you took when you're going through this?
Yeah, to lose weight, and I think it's always an emotional tool. I think, you know, you're always afraid you're gonna go back,
Yeah.
and that's not where I want to be. I never want to go back there.
Do you think knowing what you know now and the knowledge that you have and what you've learned, do you think this is what's going to actually make you be who you want to be and where you want to be for the rest of your life?
Yeah, because I think, you know, I think exercise and diet need to be a part of your lifestyle every day. I don't think you can wake up one day and say, I'm going to work out, I'm going to lose all this weight, and I'm done now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just say you're done now, that's where I can see being back in there.
Right.
I just think it needs to become a part of your life. It might not need to be the intensity you once did, but I think you get to a point you just have to keep on working to maintain where you're at.
Right.
You know, keep adjusting, and you don't gotta deprive yourself. I mean, you just need to learn how to plan for things. You have a party coming up. Okay, well, you know, you might have a piece of cake.
Right.
So what do you need to do if you had that piece of cake? You need to get in the gym and work out a little bit extra, or you need to be way stricter a few days before. You know,
I think that's the big thing, is knowing that ahead
just
of time.
adjust.
Yeah. Is having that knowledge to say, you know what, I am human. I'm going to eat these things. It's a matter of preparing and knowing how to do it so you can enjoy life, because a lot of people think that, okay, I got to start dieting and exercising, and that means I'm going to ruin my social life. I mean, have you felt that you've ruined your social life or slacked
No.
off? I mean, in more sense than not, it's probably better to have the social life and learn how to adapt your life around it. Because that's really what it is. Like you said, I mean, it's about planning and knowing, okay, I can have the piece of cake. I can have this as long as I do this, this, and this, it's going to be fine. And I think that's a huge thing. It has to be a lot easier to go through that process when you know you can do that.
Oh, most definitely. And you know, and sometimes you don't get it right and you backslide a little, but then you just work a little harder and you get back there again, you know, and that's probably the biggest thing. You know, when you do a little backslide, I have this support group, so, you know, it bothers me, but I don't let it stop me now.
It gets you back in
Like,
line.
I just get back right into the groove, get right back on the horse, and go at it again.
And it has to be much easier to do that.
Yeah, because now I feel like, oh, okay, wait. Yep, let me get back in the gym. Let me do what I've been told to do. Let me do what I know
Get back
that
on
I
track.
need to do and get back on track.
Well, Angela, I think you've had a great success, and I'm looking forward to you even succeeding to where you ultimately want to be. I want to thank you for your time today. I'm glad that you're out here. I'm glad that you've done what you've done, and I know for a fact you're going to do even more. My name is John Sega. This is Groundworks Fitness, and I want to thank you, and I want to thank our special guest, Angela Harrison, for being with us today.